Hi there, welcome to numerical methods and computations. Today, on a system of linear equation, I'm going to teach you how to solve a system using Gauss Seidel method. Let's start. Find the solution of this system using Gauss Seidel method with initial guess of S equals 0, 0, 0 transpose. Before solving this, we know that our initial guess value of S equals 0, 0, 0 transpose. That is, S1 initial guess value is 0, S2 initial guess value is 0, and S3 initial guess value is also 0. We are to perform 3 iterations. Let's represent the iteration by K, and K will start from 1, 2, 3, and so on. From our system, let's name this equation 1, equation 2, and equation 3. Now make S1, S2, S3 the subject of equation 1, 2, and 3 respectively. After doing so, this is the equation we are getting for S1, S2, and S3. Make this equation 4, equation 5, and equation 6. The next step is to add iteration K on top of all S values on the left hand side of equation 4, 5, and 6. And on the right hand side, add iteration K minus 1 on top of all S value in equation 4 only. That is the first equation after making S values the subject of their respective equations. For the remaining equations, if the S value is calculated, we will use that same value, so we add iteration K on top of that S value. And if the S value is not calculated, we will add iteration K minus 1 on top of that S value. Let's actually do it so that you understand what I'm saying over here. From equation 4, add iteration K on top of S1 on the left hand side of the equation, and add iteration K minus 1 on top of S2 on the right hand side of the equation, because S2 value is not calculated yet. That is why we are adding iteration K minus 1 on top of S2. From equation 5, add iteration K on top of S2 on the left hand side of the equation, and add iteration K on top of S1 and iteration K minus 1 on top of S3 on the right hand side of the equation. Here, the S1 value is calculated in equation 4. We will use that same value in equation 5 and any other remaining equations. So we add iteration K. The S3 value is not calculated yet, so we add iteration K minus 1. From equation 6, add iteration K on top of S3 on the left hand side of the equation, and on the right hand side of the equation, what do you think we are going to add to S2? Good. We are going to add iteration K on top of S2 on the right hand side of the equation, because S2 is already calculated in equation 5. We can now perform our iterations. So when K is equal to 1, wherever we see K in equation 4, 5, and 6, we will put 1 over there. Now starting from equation 4, put K equals 1 into equation 4. This will give us this equation. Solving this will give us this equation over here. The initial guess value of S2 is 0. So replace that with 0. And this will give us S1 iteration 1 equals 1 plus 0 all over 2. This will further give us S1 iteration 1 equals 1 over 2. Put K equals 1 into equation 5. This will give us this equation. Solving this will result in this equation. S1 iteration 1 is calculated in equation 4, that is 1 over 2. We will use that same value as I showed you over here. And the initial guess value of S3 is 0. Putting those values inside will give us this equation. Solving this will give us S2 iteration 1 equals 17 over 6. Put K equals 1 into equation 6. This is the equation we are getting after doing that. S2 iteration 1 is already calculated, that is 17 over 6. Replacing S2 iteration 1 with 17 over 6 will give us this equation. Solving this will give us S3 iteration 1 equals negative 13 over 12. We can now move on to iteration 2. But before we do that, let's look at the values of S after iteration 1. After iteration 1, S iteration 1 equals 1 over 2, 17 over 6, negative 13 over 12 transpose. S1 iteration 1 is 1 over 2. S2 iteration 1 is 17 over 6. S3 iteration 1 is negative 13 over 12. In our next iteration, K will move from 1 to 2. So when K equals 2, put K equals 2 into equation 4, 5, and 6. Starting from equation 4, put K equals 2 into equation 4. And this is the equation we will get. Solving this will give us this equation. S2 iteration 1 is 17 over 6. So replace it with 17 over 6, and this will give us this equation. Solving this will give us S1 iteration 2 equals 23 over 12. Put K equals 2 into equation 5. After doing that, this is the equation we are getting. When we break this down, it will give us this equation. S1 iteration 2 is already calculated. That is 23 over 12. And S3 iteration 1 is negative 13 over 12. Putting in those values will give us this equation. Solving this will give us S2 iteration 2 equals 53 over 18. Put K equals 2 into equation 6. This will give us this equation. S2 iteration 2 is already calculated, that is 53 over 18. Putting in that value will give us this equation. Solving this will give us S3 iteration 2 equals negative 37 over 36. The values of S after iteration 2 is S iteration 2 equals 23 over 12, 53 over 18, and negative 37 over 36. S1 iteration 2 is 23 over 12. S2 iteration 2 is 53 over 18. And S3 iteration 2 is negative 37 over 36. Let's move on to our last iteration. So when K equals 3, put K equals 3 into equation 4. And we will get this equation. Solving this will give us this equation. S2 iteration 2 is 53 over 18. Putting in that value will further give us this equation. Solving this will give us S1 iteration 3 equals 71 over 36. Put K equals 3 into equation 5. This will give us this equation. Solving this will result in this equation. S1 iteration 3 is already calculated, that is 71 over 36, and S3 iteration 2 is negative 37 over 36. Putting in those values will give us this equation. Solving this will give us S2 iteration 3 equals 161 over 54. Put K equals 3 into equation 6. This is the equation we will get after doing that. S2 iteration 3 is already calculated, that is 161 over 54. Putting in that value will give us this equation. Solving this will give us S3 iteration 3 equals negative 109 over 108. The values of S after iteration 3 is S iteration 3 equals 71 over 36, 161 over 54, and negative 109 over 108 transpose. S1 iteration 3 is 71 over 36. S2 iteration 3 is 161 over 54 and S3 iteration 3 is negative 109 over 108. That's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Like and share this video. Have a wonderful day. Take care.